Hello, everyone. I have had the pleasure of introducing you to Jackie Maclean. Jackie is a clinical hypnotherapist and an addictions recovery specialist. Jackie, I've known you for several months now through Michael Lozier's Law of Attraction programs, and also have had the pleasure of experiencing hypnosis with you, which I really felt peace inside when we had that experience. Jackie has been on television and radio on several occasions and talks about how serious the substance abuse problem is and how there is a real need to help with substance abuse and addiction recovery. As we can all appreciate, there is a very high level of stress in the business area, and Jackie has recognized there is a need to help business owners, top executives, CEOs, and entrepreneurs who, due to a very high, stressful and having to meet sometimes unrealistic targets, bury themselves in drugs such as alcohol, cigarettes, cocaine, pot, not to mention how they indulge in other addictions such as pornography, gambling, and even the internet. This is a very serious problem in the business world and with entrepreneurs. Over the years, Jackie has developed a method of dealing with addictions and managed to get consistent results. Today, she helps people change their lives by training them in step-by-step methods that work. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you so much, CJ. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to talk about, it's a very serious situation, and I know many people struggle with this. And how do I handle the drinking situation during the holiday season? How can I cope with drinkers in my family, such as maybe it's a child, a spouse, a relative who comes visiting? What do I do to maintain peace and calm in my family?
So CJ, this is a very near and dear topic to my own heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Year after year, you hear people say, there we go again. In fact, even as we speak, I'm working with a young man. He's only 35. He's struggled with alcohol for decades, he says, from the time he was 14. And, the holidays are around the corner. And his wife, who's 6 months pregnant, is, again, there we go again. There we go again. And in my own situation, my father was an alcoholic, so was my brother and my first husband. And holiday after holiday, it was the same thing. Here we go again. Right? It's almost like, when will the second shoe drop? So this is a really serious problem. I've been doing this for 10 years, CJ, and I see the struggles that people go through. Right?
Wow.
I mean, they're really surviving the ups and downs of other people's moodiness, and it's such a challenge, right?
Yes, it is. I agree.
Yeah. So here are some of the thoughts that I've had of how to deal with the situation over the holidays. So the first thing is, let's remember that these moody friends of ours, are going through a difficult stage in their lives, right? They could be chronically ill, they could be lacking love, emotional support in their lives. And let's face it, these people need to be cared for. So that's the number one thing that we need to remember and bring to mind. Okay. Now, of course, there's the other type of moody behavior, right? That's our friend, the toxic bully, right? They use their mood swings. What do they use it for? They use it to manipulate us, And the question is how to manage this situation. So the first thing that I would say is, we need to be firm, but move on without them. If you have to go to a party, right, that they're going to be consistently displaying their, misbehaving. They're consistently going to be disruptive, destructive. Move on without them, right? There's no point in suffering through that situation, holiday after holiday after holiday, year after year after year, right?
Right, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. So, yeah. The other thing, CJ, is that environment is key, right? Let's stop pretending that their toxic behavior is okay. Many people I know, and I was in that same situation, so was my mother, where we tolerated that behavior year after year after. That's got to stop, right? It's got to stop, and, really, there's no point in these bullies getting preferential treatment, right? Because then it makes it easier and easier for them to continue with the same pattern, right?
Yeah. That's an interesting point, too. I never thought of it, how they do. They're controlling that environment.
Yeah, yeah. And you notice these days, in my own experience, if somebody's over 21, you expect them to be a reliable adult and to take responsibility for their life. And it seems like we are the ones, they're disrupting the entire family, and we are the one taking responsibility for their lives, right?
Yeah, I get what you mean, and sometimes they act like children.
Yeah. They're screaming, they're stomping like the 4-year-old. Right? It's really got to stop, right?
Right.
The other is, have the courage and speak up for yourself. Right? Some people will do anything for their own personal gain. They'll cut in line, they'll take money, they'll bully, they'll steal. They'll pass on guilt. That's a big one, right? How many of us, feel guilty about, oh, my spouse is in this situation. Maybe I could have done something or not done something. I could have said something or not said something, Let's stop feeling guilty about somebody else's situation.
Right.
So, and then they use anger as a way of influencing us, right? Influencing us in a bad way, right? So.
Yeah, because the anger, if you're on the recipient, you just get smaller and smaller, and you're not enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
And then again, kind of like I never thought of it, but they're being a bully, and like a child, a 4-year-old, and so now you're not being happy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting too. I like that.
Yeah. And if the pattern continues, right, sit down with them. Just say something like, I've noticed you've been angry. Is something upsetting you, right? Or on the reverse, you can say something like, is your attitude is upsetting me? Is there, is this what you want to continue doing? Is this how you want to spend the rest of the holidays? Sit down, have a chat with them, rather than ignoring it, right? Because then we tend to internalize it, and it gets us even more anxious, even more guilty, even more frustrated, and in the final analysis, exhausted, right?
Right, yeah.
We're exhausted, and we can't sleep. So,
it's like, and again, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like, there's got to be a time when we've got to put our foot down. Right? Got to put that foot down, right? It's, we've got to be firm about it, right? These people, and I've seen in my experience, they tend to get violent after a couple of drinks, right? Right? So they're emotionally trying to hijack us without even realizing what they're doing, right?
So, Jackie, when you said to sit down and kind of have I would call it a heart-to-heart, that's got to be when they're sober, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Because that's when you're going to hopefully listen to what you have to say.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And be kind when you're having that conversation with them, when they're not just come home from work and exhausted, because they're not likely to be rational as they listen to you.
Sure, sure, that makes sense, yeah.
And the other one is, don't take their behavior personally, Don't say to ourselves, we, as females, I know as a mom, as a spouse, as a wife, we do so much, and it's like, what could I have done? let's not take it personally. They're not getting at us. They're going through their own struggles. They are going through their own pain. And in my experience, I've seen that people who struggle with, with alcohol or other, cocaine or whatever, they're really feeling their hole. There's a hole in their soul, right? They're emotionally deeply, deeply hurt, and they're trying to fill a hole in their soul. So that's where the kindness comes to them. And yet the other aspect of it is not tolerate their behavior, holiday after holiday after holiday, right?
Right.
There's a firm line, a thin line between being kind to them, being compassionate to them, and tolerating their behavior, right? Many of us, yeah. Like I was saying, continue.
The interesting point you're saying is, because I've seen situations too, personally, and the person thinks that they created, and it's like, no, you didn't create that. This is their own thing that they created.
Correct.
And their addiction and their demon to deal with, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So that's where the compassion comes up, because most of us tend to go with a big banner overhead, I'm guilty. I'm feeling guilty about this. And there's no point, because they're going to continue with that behavior. Right?
Sure, you're not going to get through.
Yeah. And the most important is, I would say, make time for yourself. Take the time for yourself, right? This is really important. It's really important for our own well-being, right? I know one of my mentor has taught us, and he says, be selfish. And selfish in this context is self-care. Right? If we don't take care of ourselves, if we are not strong ourselves physically, emotionally, and mentally, how can we help others? Right? When we keep giving and giving and giving, in the final analysis, we are giving out of resentment, and it doesn't help them, and it doesn't help us. Right?
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you can also be running on empty.
Yeah.
And then you can start to have your own issues and problems.
Yeah. And if you notice that this behavior continues, if you notice, I've done everything I can, and it's going on for years, and they continue to be disruptive, continue to drink, be sloshed, and make a fool of themselves, then you've got to recognize this is a serious problem, and they need professional help. And there's a lot of help available. There's the AA for drugs, there's NA, there's anal, and, for people who struggle with this. And also hypnosis, research has proven, there's so many clinical studies, and studies have proven that, research has proven that that hypnosis has helped in a huge way with people who struggle with addictions and substance abuse, and help them overcome that big, huge hurdle for good. I've been doing that. Yeah, I've been doing it for 10 years, and I see wonderful results with my clients. And again, CJ, the key here is they've got to be committed. That's the big key. They must be committed to and want to change their lives, right? But the help is there. The help is there, right? Right? Yeah. So
you said you've been doing this for 10 years?
Yes. Yeah.
Can I ask you how you got started into hypnotherapy?
Again, it was my own challenges. Like I said, I struggled with, being in a terrible situation growing up in India. My own father was an alcoholic. My first husband was. My brother died of alcoholism when he was 38.
Oh, wow.
And, of course, the last straw was when my husband left me about 12 years ago. I was looking for answers, and hypnosis changed my life. And here's, in my experience and in my opinion, why hypnosis helps, because it's really rewiring, right? In our subconscious mind, we hold all of our beliefs, our behaviors, our habits. So if we have a habit, whatever it may be, either binging once a week or having, 3 glasses of wine every day or whatever the habit is. And if you're tired of the habit and saying, this is not serving me, it's not serving my family, where do you go, right? You go to the bus driver to make the change. And our subconscious is the bus driver. And the only quick way to access our subconscious mind is through this process that we call hypnosis, right? That's why research has shown and proven that it's successful with changing behaviors or enhancing self-confidence, self-esteem, what have you, even fears and phobias. So isn't that a wonderful tool?
It is. Yeah. It really is. And I've seen it work for many people too for a variety of different things. Now you work with clients all around the world, don't you?
I do. Yes.
You're based in Canada, but you work with anybody. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so they can get in contact with you. Your website is thepowerwithin.ca. And I really appreciate this conversation because it is a tough one, and it is sometimes people don't want to talk about it. They want to kind of, it's like the elephant in the room.
Correct.
And you really gave some, clear and wonderful suggestions, and the key points I got is really standing up for yourself.
Yes.
That self-care. Yeah. And then there is many things available, just like you said, to help them if they're when they're ready.
Yes.
And hypnosis is a wonderful. What I like about hypnosis is it's a very gentle way of changing those habits, those addictions.
Yeah.
Some things can be really harsh, and hypnosis isn't. It's a very and you're right. It goes right to the bus driver. I like that analogy. And it says, okay, it's time to change this route because this isn't working anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's wonderful. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add to help folks through the holidays?
Yeah, I wanted to say that hypnosis is not only gentle, like you mentioned. It's it's drug-free.
Oh,
and it's quick.
True.
It's quick. People make changes like this. A large majority of my clients quit smoking in a single session. I've had clients who worked with me for 52 years. They've smoked for 52 years. That's, CJ, is the power of the mind. It's not about the therapist. It's not about hypnosis. It's about, we can make change within if we make that decision. Make that decision that enough is enough. Right? Today is the first day of the rest of my life, and I've made a decision that I want to, live it in a happy, be happy for the rest of my life. So, like you were asking about message, my message to people who struggle with this, especially the family members, is this is not your fault. Please remember that. It's not your fault. I blamed myself for years and years and years, and it's not your fault. These people have a mental illness, so to speak, and they need help. So get them the help they need. For alcohol, there's AA available. For drugs, there's NA. There's so much available. In my experience, like I said, hypnosis is quick, it's easy, it's drug-free. And here's a quote. Yes, CJ, you were mentioning something.
Well, the other thing that I like about it, too, is that this can be from the comfort of your own home.
Yes, absolutely.
If you don't want to, you don't have to go to some group meeting and, go through this process.
Yeah.
You can connect with you, and they could be, in the USA or Australia or whatever, and they can, take this program with you and really step into, like you said, having a fulfilling and happy life.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I really appreciate
And the other thing, CJ, that just come to mind is with addictions, there's a lot of shame. So people don't want to be seen going into an office, with knowing, oh my God, there's an AA meeting, so if I step, tiptoe there, everybody's going to see see me, right? That's
Mhm.
not shame. So people don't go because of that. Or
Mhm.
they don't get the help, they don't want to go to a clinic that says alcohol help or rehab or whatever. They don't want to be seen. By doing this, they can do it from the comfort of their home, and it doesn't get easier.
That's a great point. I never
Yeah,
thought of that, because you're
yeah,
right there.
yeah.
There are some people that I know that I've mentioned, AA and things like that, and they're like, no, because if my car is parked out, somebody's going to
Yes,
know that I've gone in there,
absolutely. Yes,
and I really don't want them to know what my struggle is, and
yes,
that's a
yeah,
very valid point.
yeah,
Whereas working with you online.
yeah.
Now, do you work by phone too, or you do Skype, or how do you run your sessions?
Skype, phone, Google Hangouts,
Okay. So
just
there's
like
a
we're
variety.
doing now,
Mhm.
and of course in person. So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Great.
yes,
Wonderful. And to get in
yeah,
contact with you
yeah,
is www.thepowerwithin.ca, and I
yeah,
highly recommend you for yourself, or if you know someone else who has addictions, to get in contact with Jackie. She's wonderful. She's caring. She's compassionate. She doesn't judge you, and she's really there to help you,
yeah,
support. So,
yeah.
anything else you want to say?
I love this quote that I've seen.
Okay.
Don't, don't let toxic people rent space in your head. Raise the rent and get them out of there.
That's perfect.
I
I
really
like
love
that.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
love that.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much, Jackie, because this topic, like I said again, it is a struggle.
Yes,
I know in my area, I live in the Midwest,
yeah,
and alcoholism seems like it's almost in every household. It's
yes,
amazing. It's almost
yeah.
like an epidemic. I hate
It
to put that word
is.
out there, but it feels like an
Yes,
epidemic.
yeah,
And I think it's an easy substance to get a hold of, but
yes,
there's other ways, like you said, on the internet. There's
yeah,
gambling.
yeah.
There's food. Food can be an
Oh,
addiction,
food is a big one, of course. Yeah,
and that's an easy one to also
yes,
get a hold of. It's not
yes,
it can be expensive, but
yeah,
so there's a variety of different ways that we're trying to fill that hole that's
yes,
within.
yeah,
And so through hypnosis, they can find other ways
yes,
to,
yeah,
like you said, rewrite
yeah.
and change things. And that's
And
that's got to be empowering.
yeah, and you mentioned, food is not expensive. The food itself may not be expensive, but what are the expenses, when you get diabetes?
Mm,
When you become obese and then get
mm,
diabetes? What's the
mm-hmm,
expense when you're obese and have to do the gastric band surgery that costs $15,000? What's
mm-hmm,
the cost, when you have a heart problem or cancer? There is
mm-hmm.
a cost of not taking care of yourself, right?
Sure,
So it's
sure,
not
that's a good
just the
point.
food or the cost of the cigarettes or the cost of the alcohol. What's it costing your family when you're dead and they have
Mm,
nobody to support them? Right?
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's not just what's now in front of
Yeah.
you, it's what's down the road. What are you leading to,
Correct.
and yeah, the cost, and
Yeah.
what are is the payoff worth the cost? Because
Correct.
maybe you're just getting that quick fix right now,
Yeah.
but then your health and your relationships and things like that,
Yeah.
definitely it
Yeah.
costs.
Yes.
That's a good point. Thank
Yeah.
you. I
So
really appreciate this conversation. It was wonderful having you. And again,
thank you.
if anyone is interested in hypnosis, she has lots of information on her website. It's a powerful place to step into and really empower yourself to say, yes, I want to change. And again, her website is www.thepowerwithin.ca. And this is Jackie. Thank you.
Thank you, CJ. Thank
And
you.
happy holidays.
Happy holidays.